Welcome to Coffee Terrace. In this video we're going to be creating a 2-story coffee shop. It's going to be very highly detailed from bottom to that top floor terrace. Inside there's going to be loads of quirky elements and unique modern design. Now let's get a cup of coffee ready and get into this build. Hello everybody, my name is Adamup and welcome to another Planet Zoo video. And that's right, today we're going to be creating a coffee shop, but not only a coffee shop, it's going to be a 2-story coffee shop. We're going to provide an upstairs terrace for guests to chill out and sit down. It is going to be functional, they are going to be able to access it as well. In terms of Steam Workshop page, after this is complete, keep your eye on it. I might put it on there. It's difficult to include builds like this on the Steam Workshop page because paths are never included in a blueprint. I don't know if you know that. So when it comes to you downloading this, it's quite difficult to place the paths in if you don't know how to do it, which you can see me doing it right now. It is tricky. I actually have a full tutorial on 2-story facility buildings, so if you don't know how to do it, go and check that out, and it will teach you how to actually create a 2-story buildings. I'm going to assume that you already know how to do that, and now I'm going to present this build to you. Now, I actually really enjoyed this. The inspiration for this build just came to me. I thought I want to create a shop because I've not actually created a shop on the channel for a while. It's something what I like doing, especially I like including high details in small places. That's what I like doing in Planet Zoo. I wanted to do something a little bit different when it came to colour schemes, and I love coffee, so I thought let's create a coffee shop, not any old coffee shop, 2-story coffee shop, and it's going to be pink. I don't know why it's going to be pink. The colour scheme just seems to work. I go with like a black and pink colour scheme. You see me just fiddling around with the paths. No one's perfect. I struggle with the pathing system as much as most people with the hours I've put in struggle with the pathing system. I tried to play about with different high variants and it just wasn't clicking. Either the shop was too big or the shop was too small. We did get there in the end. You can see me just building that out, trying to align to the grid and create those steps. The steps were the most difficult part. Once I got the facility in the position what actually it needed to be, creating the paths was not that difficult. I just had to make sure everything was lined up pretty much perfect. And once it was lined up perfect, it looked something like this. Obviously, there's a lot of design work what now needs to go into it. We need to cover these paths and we need to start building the actual facility up and building the coffee shop up. We started with the pink plaster pieces. Obviously, these are just the plaster pieces recolored to pink. The flooring is going to stay the same colour, and this is actually the colour. So the flooring in this and the majority of the wood pieces is going to be the standard colour what the conservation pieces come as. So if you've got the conservation pack, as soon as you put a conservation beam down one of the wood pieces, this is the colour. And I just think it's an amazing colour. It looks modern, it looks fresh, and it's a colour what I use in every kind of unique modern build I do. Now, I knew that this was going to be a very detailed build. I didn't realize how detailed it actually was going to be. I had like 0 reference images. I kind of just winged it here and went with what my imagination was thinking in my brain. Obviously I knew I wanted it to be a 2-story, but the actual design elements I kind of just like went along with and tried different. How does this look? No, don't like that, go back and change it. And that's what I always say, you don't like something, go back and change it because it will just eat away at you and you will get fed up with building in Planet Zoo if you keep doing that. I didn't the floor into there and I realised it wasn't high enough, so I kind of had to separate it for the grid. And you can see I will jump from like area to area. I'll start building a wall and I think, oh no, I want to build a roof now, I want to build a glass panel now, I want to build some interior now. Like, that's what I do, that's just how I build it. I have got ADD, so I do just jump from like one thing to the other. I do it in real life as well as in Planet Zoo, but hyper focusing on something like this, like building in Planet Zoo, really satisfies me and I do really enjoy it, and that's why I make videos. And hopefully you can kind of get some inspiration out of this video and maybe it'll inspire you to create a coffee shop, or you can just copy this build if you like it. A lot of glass. We're going to keep with that modern theme. We're going to include a lot of glass and a lot of pink, and we're going to add the conservation pieces in soon as trims to the windows. We're going to recolor them to black though this time, so it makes those pieces, those wood pieces, even though they're wood, it makes them look like metal, like black metal. So what we're doing now is just lining everything up, and I knew this was going to take a long time because most of this is off the grid. These are not on the grid pieces. These are like the 4x2 off the grid plaster pieces and stuff like that, and the columns. And so that's how I knew it would take a longer time. I couldn't build this on the grid because I wanted a certain unique look. And once I actually created this look, this is how the front of the building is gonna look. I was finally happy with the front. You can see the columns I've actually set back, and I've included that black trim that I was on about with the conservation pieces on one side of this glass panel. Just seeing how it looks, because I am planning on doing it on every glass panel in this build. You can see I fetched the path back a little bit. I wanted a little bit of a gap, or else the guests, when they go up there, they'll be clipping through the wall because everything's off the grid on the front here. It wasn't on the grid on the pathing system, if that makes sense. So I didn't want guests clipping through walls and hanging over stuff they shouldn't be hanging over. And I also didn't want the path poking out of the plaster pieces itself. I wanted to totally cover all the in-game pathing system here to give it that fresh, clean, trim look. And here, what you can see me doing now, again using off the grid plaster pieces and creating a little area, and this is going to hold a tree or a plant. I've not decided actually what to put in there yet at this point of the video, but obviously we're going to add mulch in there, and we're going to create a little custom made planter here, and we are going to obviously add a lot of plants going forward as well. And I'll start fast forwarding the video now into speed build segment, because the video, unless I did that, would be about 12 hours long. Honestly, I actually do not know how long this build took me. You'd think that building a little coffee shop, it wouldn't take that very long, but with the amount of detail I added, it did take a hell of a long time, and it was spaced over about 4 days to actually create this, because I always like to have a little break and then go back to it and come up with new ideas and bring them into the build. That's what I like to do in Planet Zoo. That's probably why it takes me so bloody long to build anything. Just adding that black metal trim now to the rest of the windows, what I've already mentioned, and making sure everything's aligned. I wanted everything perfect. I'm a bit perfectionist. I wanted everything perfect, everything aligned perfect, no gaps, no cross fighting, Z fighting, whatever you want to call it, and everything aligned as it should be, basically. And even though it did take me a long time and I had to keep going back to it, I really enjoyed building this. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you have a lot of fun, get some inspiration, and you enjoy watching me build it in this video. If you are enjoying it, then stop right now, hit that like button please. It helps my channel so much. I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. I'll be so happy if I get there. So if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Honestly, the black trim around the glass pieces really does make a difference, so I just want to highlight how much of a difference it makes. Just look at that. Then once the black trim was done, it was time to move on to the second floor, the terraced area where our guests can come up, sit down. And it is going to be functional as well. You can obviously see that the path is there. We just need to line the path with our custom pieces to give it a much better look, and covering all the nasty gaps as well, and making sure everything looks flush. I've actually done the front door as well. I did it with the same glass pane. I didn't see the point of showing you. It's obviously not a functional door. Our guests, unfortunately, will walk straight through this door, but it kind of looks good, doesn't it? Glass door with a black frame and a little handle. Unfortunately, we don't have the capability to have something like that, what is functional in Planet Zoo. But I hope they do bring more moving elements with building pieces when it does come to Planet Coaster 2, which is coming up sooner than we realise. It really is, and I'm looking forward to playing Planet Coaster 2 as well. Let me know in the comment section below if you are planning on purchasing Planet Coaster 2, and if you are looking forward to my content I create for that, because I've not actually created any content for Planet Coaster 1, so it'll be interesting to see how my viewers react when I create content for Planet Coaster 2. But back to this build, and I'm currently trying to hide that disgusting path what we've got on that second floor. Again, we're doing it with the same plaster pieces, recolor to pink, so everything looks matching. Just trying to line everything up and make everything look like it blends. And I created this kind of like, what would you call it, kind of like an alcove area. So the plan for the inside for this alcove area was to have like kind of like a breakfast bar style, like a bench where customers can sit and enjoy the coffee and the bakery goods if they're going to get bakery goods, you know, that kind of vibe. And on the top, you're going to fill it with plant pots and kind of give like an overlook area for people to go on the terrace if they want to have a look at what's going on the street down below. No detail again was left spurred. Even with the little bits, I was making sure everything was lined up. I was making sure that these conservation pieces recolored to black to make it look like metal. I've said that a lot, can you tell? Got the hang of it now. In there as well, keeping that same theme. I really want it high detailed. It's that high detailed, I don't even know if everything's going to fit on a blueprint. So if you don't see this on my Steam Workshop, you know why. It's because of too many items basically in one build. On the top of the terrace, I started decorating it with some of the in-game seating area. So obviously the guests can use these. They are classed as a facility. It is on path. Remember, we covered the path though, so it doesn't look like it. And then I added some of my own little bits, like little coffee tables and little mugs and decorations like pillars and heaters. We're going to put the plaster pieces once again with the metal trim around, and then we're going to put this unique kind of like glass and plaster piece mixture at the front. Moving on to the front of the building now, and I started decorating that, adding some simple decorations with a planter and these kind of like hanging chains with coffee signs. I do end up changing this a little bit, so stay tuned to the end of the video to see how I do change it, but it's all in the decorations and the details in Planet Zoo. Get some plant pots in there with some lovely foliage in. I then decided to include some bike racks on the left hand side with some parked up bikes. On the right hand side where the stairs was, I decided to create my own railing system and my own railing. I just think it looks better than the in-game one what it gives you. Again, we're going to use the same metal pieces and we're going to cover all the bits we want to cover and then create a nice little railing system so people can actually be safe when coming up and down these stairs. Obviously it's a terrace building, unfortunately it will not have wheelchair access, but people who are wheelchair users and people with disabilities or differences can use the inside area downstairs rather than go to the terrace. But yeah, I try to stay inclusive when I am creating my builds and keep stuff in mind, but when you're creating a terrace it is quite difficult to be able to do that really. Once again, inside no detail was left spurred and I carry on with the same colour scheme. And here we are. You can see there's been a little bit of changes going on since the last segment of this video, but it is actually complete. So let me give you a little tour and introduce you to the new changes. We've gone ahead and named it to Coffee Terrace, and we've added a little bit more detail, and you probably noticed. We've changed the sign here on the right hand side to the actual neon coffee sign. It just looked so much better and it glows up in the dark. I always say it's about the little details in Planet Zoo, so that's what I went with. I got some hose pipes and some spilled water next to the grid. On the top part, just a little bit of detail in here with pots of plants and stuff like that, and stuff you'll find on tables and cushions and everything you'd find, well, basically on a terrace area of a coffee shop. Inside I am really happy with, and everything is in full flow and ready for our guests to come in. You see our staff member is behind the counter, and behind that counter we've got coffee machines and racks and everything you would find it in a coffee shop, including a fridge of drinks. On the right hand side I have kept it simple but still including those little details like little custom made plant pots on the round table and all the candles and incense and stuff like that. We've even got a cute little bookshelf built in to the panelling of the media wall. I thought about just putting a door and putting a toilet sign, but that wouldn't be me, would it? Of course we've got a full toilet with sinks and toilet cubicles. Around the back I kept it very simple and just threw some stuff what you would find in a back, like an electrical box and a dustbin. To the side it looked kind of plain and simple, just spruced things up with even more plant pots. And there we go, the Coffee Terrace coffee shop is all done, and you've just had the tour of everything what's changed. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, or we give you some inspiration to build a 2-story terrace shop, hit that like button. If you're new around here and you want to see more Planet Zoo videos like you just watched, hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.